with Mary Schepp. And today, Mary has brought us many things to eat. I'm so excited I can't hardly talk. Many things to eat, some amazing coffee cakes, some things to put on tortillas, and a special guest in orange glasses.
Woohoo.
Mary, would you like to introduce your guest?
This is my food whore.
Hello.
His name's Kent. You bring food and he
I'm attracted to it.
he transports in.
Yeah.
He literally, I think it's just like a beacon.
Yeah,
He just appeared. There's a transporter somewhere in the corner.
I was just outside the zip code. I said, man, there's something going on.
Right?
And it just took me a minute or two to get here. And then look what happened.
It's like the damn thermostat thing. Is there food at my station?
Right.
There's food, right?
Who touched my thermostat?
So we got, today we're talking about food tracking. And that's part of the reason why I wanted Kent on here, because he's got some good stuff about some food tracking.
Mm-hmm.
And then just because I made it yesterday and it turned out absolutely freaking amazing, I had to bring some carnitas. I made pork carnitas yesterday. So when all of the zombie apocalypse happened, and I happened to be at Sam's Club, so I bought an 8-pound pork shoulder. Because I figured, why not? I'm hearing everybody says that the world's going to fall and there's going to be no nothing, whatever, and blah, blah, blah. And as everybody knows, I have the Fresh from the Farm group that we created. So
You prefer the upper body. You went with the shoulder.
I did.
Not the butt.
I did. I like the shoulders better than the butts, surprisingly. But the Fresh from the Farm group, I have a plethora of avenues to get pork and beef and vegetables and farm fresh stuff. But I figured I'm there. And if, the world's going to fall, let's get one. So it's been sitting in my freezer for, the last 10 years of this pandemic.
Yeah, waiting for the world to
fall.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you've ever cooked a large hunk of anything, it's like an 8, 10, 12 hour to do it low and slow.
Once had dinner with a good friend, Jeffrey, and he had a big shoulder that he, never mind.
Nice.
Too soon? Sorry.
So last night I figured I'd make it quick, cut it up in little tiny 1-inch chunks. And it was so super easy. So pork seasoned with paprika, cumin, coriander, like 6 or 7 garlic cloves.
And we got that right here.
Yep. Layer of onions, a layer of oranges, covered, roasted 3 hours at 300 degrees. And it's absolutely insane. Fantastic.
Oh my gosh. Smell that, people out there on the radio.
Right. Smell-o-radio. Do we have Smell-o-radio yet?
Smell-o-vision, Smell-o-radio.
Have we paid for that license yet?
Oh my God.
It's on its way.
That really smells delicious.
So I was, my husband and I both were pleasantly surprised at how good it is. So I had, even though I know it's not necessarily about food tracking, I had to bring it in for you guys to share. And plus, because it really only has pork and oranges and onions and garlic, it's actually pretty good for you. The worst part of it is probably going to be that tortilla that you put it on.
After you put it on the tortilla.
Which is why I brought corn and flour tortillas. It would also go good in a lettuce wrap.
Yeah.
So, all that being said, we're talking about food tracking because I've talked about it a million times before. There's no way for you to have any idea of what. I can't see past this guy. I feel like he's looking at you and it's driving me crazy.
It's
little skulls.
Yeah, we can go with the little skulls.
So with food tracking, how do you know what to take out of your diet if you don't know what the hell you're eating in the first place? How can you say that you need less salt, less sugar, less fat, less carbs, less bread, less anything if you don't know what you're consuming to begin with? That's the hard part. And everybody thinks they know and they don't. And when you start tracking, it really does open your eyes to holy crap, like what I was eating, or I didn't realize I was getting that much saturated fat, which is usually my problem because I eat a lot of saturated fat.
A lot of fat. My habits were high fat when I started. I do the Noom, NOOM product. My son's girlfriend works for them, so I didn't get a special rate.
Hint.
Yeah.
Hint.
No, family and friends, right? Nothing. Yeah.
Right.
But when I started this, high fat. I was like, oh my gosh.
Right.
I had no idea that I No wonder I'm a fat guy because I ingested a lot of trans fat, a lot of fat. It was
Sure.
it was amazing. It's an eye opener. Yeah.
And that's why, I mean, so for a lot of us in our low sodium group, we use MyFitnessPal because with low sodium, you're not, so all of these diet trackers and planners and whatever and apps across the board, they're predominantly for weight loss. And that's why I've liked so much about what I've heard from you about Noom is it's more of a lifestyle change. It's not a calorie loss or a fat loss or whatever. And that's what I've talked about for the last year is I don't have to watch my salt anymore at all because I changed my lifestyle back in 2015. Now my problem is when I eat and what I eat. So I have to eat something within 20 minutes of waking up. If I don't, my whole day is shit right off the board. You've just fasted for a bare minimum of 10 hours. So even if you go to bed at midnight, you didn't eat at midnight. I mean, you might have, but
depends what I had to drink.
Right. True. But even if you had a Tombstone pizza at midnight and then you wake up at 7:00 in the morning, unless you eat at 7, if you had a Tombstone pizza at midnight, you're probably get up, shower, out the door and work. You're not eating breakfast.
Right.
So usually it's not until lunch. Most people grab a cup of coffee, they go and they get lunch and that's it. So you've just fasted for 10 hours. And now the first thing you eat, your body stores all of it.
Yeah.
So you're better off first thing in the morning, even if it's just a handful of cashews or pecans, something with a glass of water. So every morning,
big glass of water, 8 ounces.
Yep. And it's not even 8-ounce glass of water is this much. It's this little itty bitty, you can
have it right there. Get out of
chug
bed.
it.
Boom.
Right. Well, I got cats, so I can't keep anything on a nightstand.
I understand that.
That ain't going to happen. So that's what I found is that until I started tracking my food, I discovered I wasn't honest at all with what I thought I was eating, especially once I started committing to being honest with what I was tracking. So, for instance, my cup of coffee that I have, which, by the way, this new stuff,
it's fantastic.
It's good, but it's fake sugar, and I can tell it right away.
Yeah, you can taste it on your.
Yeah, because I don't.
But it is.
I try not to have processed stuff, and I got this new creamer for the station in it.
It's delicious, but yeah, you got
So
on the sides of your tongue.
Once I started being honest with myself, I blow my day's sugar in the morning with 3 cups of coffee and a banana. That's it. Because 3 cups of coffee and a banana. So I like black coffee, but I also like creamer. So if you don't have creamer, I'll drink a cup of black coffee. I'm fine with it. But I like the caramel macchiato creamer. I don't use a serving, which is a tablespoon. I use about 3 servings, which is still only about this much in your coffee cup.
Right. You go by color, really.
Right.
Right.
What's the, and you learn where it is, where the line is in your coffee cup.
That is correct.
So it's about 3 tablespoons, which is 3 servings. So if I have 3 cups of coffee, which is about 1.5 cups, it's not actually 8 ounces. Any coffee cup is usually 10 or 12 ounces.
Or 20.
Right. So now just that 3 cups of coffee with a little bit of creamer, not even Starbucks, and a banana is 59, 60 grams of sugar. And if my sugar is only supposed to be 65 or 70 grams a day, right there, just in my breakfast, I blew my sugar. Me personally, I don't have, if I can avoid it, I don't have any other sugars the rest of the day. So I can have ice cream at night. Still blow my sugar out of the water, but I like to treat myself. I like a little Blue Bunny, so I have some ice cream at night.
I won't do the ice cream. I used to a lot.
Right.
But now I understand why I would, so
yep.
I don't. Yeah.
And that's what I love about what you're talking about with the Noom, and I want to research it and I want to get into it and actually try it myself so I can speak better to it, because I like MyFitnessPal because it helps you track, and it's not as like calorie in your face. Watch this. It helps you track.
Yeah.
But it's so flawed because people can enter in information. So many of the entries are just calories. So when you actually open it up and look at something, it's like, okay, this is just calories.
Right. And I mean, if you can scan it a lot of times, but
Right.
people still go in there.
Right.
And
The
will change
barcode
it
is a
or-
huge
yeah.
lifesaver because
Yeah.
you can scan with the barcode and it actually pulls up what
Yeah.
the USDA lists the product as.
And Noom has that as well, so you can scan it,
Right.
which is good.
Yeah, the USDA's, I mean, I'm not a huge fan of most government agencies, but
So
their
a small
tracking has
slice
gotten
of
better.
your cinnamon apple coffee cake.
Is like a week's worth of sugar.
Yep.
But it has zero, well, not, I shouldn't say zero sodium. The entire cake is only a few hundred milligrams of sodium.
Right.
So it is low in sodium. Now, here's the thing about.
But you're going to get some good calories out of that.
Right. That's when I make stuff, and that's what I always talk about. If you're gonna cheat with real food.
Yeah.
So have something that was homemade, have something that was baked, have something, even if it's a bakery from a grocery store, a lot of that's still processed and frozen and whatever.
Got to have shelf life.
Right. But if you have something that is made, so even if it's a big giant bowl of fruit with honey and everything, it's a sugar load, but it's real sugars.
Yeah.
That's balanced glucose, fructose. You're better off cheating. And that's why I always say, if you want to cheat and go high sodium or high whatever, and you go to a restaurant with your friends to splurge, pick something like a burger or a chicken sandwich. Because outside of the bun that's processed, and if you eliminate the bun and just eat it without it, which a lot of people do, it's still more real food than it is processed food. So you're better off going to an actual real establishment than a fast food chain because you get real food.
Yep.
And your body processes it way better.
Way better.
So even though I blow my sugar out of the water in the morning with my coffee creamer, me personally, I don't count any of the other sugars in my day if it comes from real food.
Like an apple.
Right. If I have a banana or a handful of grapes
Right.
or anything like that, if it comes from real food, an actual grown or living product, then I don't. I still count it
Well, your
and I look
body-
at it and
yeah,
I watch
you-
it,
yeah.
but I don't count it as my treat,
Right.
sugar treat. So, now how much? Because I know that with the Noom, it's about tracking, but it's like how do they gear you to
Yep.
stay and decide what your choices are?
So, and I'll show you the app, right? So every day, the first thing they ask you to do is weigh in.
Right.
You got to not be scared of the scale. And
Right.
there's been other diets and things I've done. It's like, don't step on the scale ever.
And that's so stupid.
Right.
How do you know what you're doing?
Right. But then every day you'll see that
Mhm.
there's like little homework, I guess. There's things, right? So this one's explore your innermost cave, and you go through this, and this is written by psychologists and whatnot. And caves are scary unless it's a bat cave. Your innermost cave is no different. It can be scary, right? So it starts talking about it starts talking about why you do things you do. And so I've been doing this since the middle of September. So I'm almost 2 months into this, where they start out very basically. Here's why you crave the food you do.
Right.
So you're learning the whole time. I was a big proponent of, you know what? I'm just going to grab my meal. I'm going to eat while I work. Well, your mind doesn't necessarily. They teach you that when you're doing that, your mind thinks it's working,
Right.
and you don't think that you're eating. So,
Right.
so when there's that lull in your work day, you go, I need something to eat.
Mhm.
I haven't eaten all day.
Right.
Is what your brain thinks, because you didn't stop to take a look at what you were eating and eat. So it's really cool. And you also have a coach here. So the last week I just got busy. Life got busy. The end of the month is always tough for guys who do loans.
Sure.
And I didn't log any meals. But way back when I started, they ask you questions like, hey, why haven't other things worked for you?
Right.
And well, I stopped logging meals.
Which is common.
It's common. So I get a text from my coach that goes, hey, you haven't logged a meal in a couple of days. Everything okay?
Yeah.
You're like, oh crap. Okay. Then you got to go back and you got to go, what did I eat?
Sure.
If you don't write it down, you're like, oh man, what did I eat? And thank God I've got great help at home. Hey, Alice and the kids will always tell me, like, you had this. And then my whole lunchbox changes. Everything changes. You're not eating just to eat anymore. You're eating to fuel your body. You're eating. Um, they don't though, however, break into like the particulates like sodium
Sure.
and sugar and whatnot. But when you start looking at how you're eating, you go,
And that's the thing is, it's funny that you say about the separation between what you're doing. And early on, I learned it, and it took me a while to incorporate that into my work.
Yeah.
So at home, my husband and I do that all the time. Like the dinner table is the dinner table. And yes, I have my phone there. I run a store, and if the alarms go off or if someone needs me, I still have responsibilities to life. But if you texted me, I'm going to look at it and I'll respond. Is
Right.
this an emergency? Because otherwise it's our time.
Yep.
And we sit down, and until I started doing that at work, because I don't take a break, I don't take a lunch. But even when I take 10 minutes and I tell my crew, like, I'm going to sit in my office and shove some food in my face. And even that 10 minutes to sit down, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to eat. I'm going to look at something stupid on my phone. I'm going to take a few minutes to be brain dead and just eat food.
Mm-hmm.
It does. I feel satiated. I feel good. And then I go out and I don't have that. I got 2 seconds to stop and I should eat some. Oh no, I did eat some. I'm good. I'm good to go. And it's that change, that differential in recognizing what you're eating and when you're eating, and actually letting your brain click in. It's the same with drinking water. Most people don't realize the actual feeling of being thirsty. They just automatically assume they're hungry.
Mm-hmm.
But when you start paying attention to what you're drinking and how you're drinking and drinking water, and if you set yourself on a schedule, you'll actually realize the difference. And that was one thing with me, because I would, drink everything but water. So when I started drinking water on a regular basis, because even though I have to watch my liquids because of how I retain them, you still have to drink water at regular intervals throughout the day, because it tells your organs in the internal brain of your body to keep that filtration system going. Mm-hmm. So you're going to pee more. And that's why they say drink when you've been drinking, because it keeps that filtration going and that metabolism going, which filters all of that crap out of your body. And then I started realizing what it felt like to be thirsty, which was the weirdest thing for me because it feels like being hungry.
Yep.
But when you have that mental break and that mental change, and that's what I've loved so much, even what I've read about it, because I've been reading quite a bit about it and talking to people who've been on it, that you don't need to know down to the macros what you're consuming when you're eating real food and at the right times.
Yeah.
And you're aware of it.
So like with this, they break things into green, yellow, and red foods.
Okay.
And none of them are bad. That's what they say. Just understand.
Right.
Red isn't bad, and you try to stay away from it. You are allowed about 350 calories, which my little piece of coffee cake was probably
probably pretty close.
Pretty close.
I can actually look on my website. I forgot about that. I do actually have the coffee cake on my website.
And so now, like the oatmeal that I had this morning is green. Just regular oatmeal.
Uh-huh.
It wasn't the instant oatmeal that I picked up off of Pete's Facebook. I started following him for great recipes.
I'm happy. Thank you. That's great. I'm glad that was helpful.
that was pretty... Follow me for more recipes.
That's right.
A bowl and a packet of oatmeal.
Worked for me.
That's right.
I actually showed that one to my husband. That was pretty funny.
That is. So you start to learn about the foods, and vegetables and fruits and things like that are great for you. And they're like, eat as many calories of that as you want, because you have to eat a buttload of vegetables to have a ton of calories. Yeah. Oh, goodness, right?
Well, that's like, we've talked about bananas to death on this show. I hate bananas. I don't like bananas. And even today, I wanted to eat a banana, but my husband and I tried a piece of coffee cake. And then, of course, I had to write my show and everything else. And then I stopped at the store and I didn't have time to, and I can feel it. On a side note, the nutrition on this is minus the apples, is actually on my website, and it's really high.
I had a little sliver. You can see it wasn't as
So-
big a piece as the producer.
It's pretty good. But every
It
once
is
in a while,
delicious.
things are worth it. And it's all homemade, and it is all like, it's the good kind of flour. It's good
Well,
apples. It's good all stuff. So
And what it's also taught me to do is to take a look at, so instead of just logging coleslaw,
right.
what's in it? So if you log coleslaw, it throws it into the yellow moderate area,
Right.
and says, a cup is this much. Well, what dressing did you
Who made
use? What's
it?
in the
Yep.
dressing? So you learn, like your carnita here is, instead of saying a pork carnita, I'm going to log the ingredients.
Right. 3 ounces of pork, or
Correct.
6 ounces, 9 ounces. And I do the same thing, because for that same exact reason. And even when I make it, and that's one thing I do like about MyFitnessPal, is because I can put my recipes in there, and I know to pay attention to what I'm putting in there, to look at the micronutrients and say, okay, this is actually correct. Because the one that's missed the most is potassium, which is why I eat bananas. And side note, disclaimer all the time, if you are on any medication whatsoever for your heart, liver, kidneys, anything, chances are it's going to make you watch your potassium. Because it's same with sodium. There's a lot of things that can make you really, really sick if you don't pay attention. So just be mindful of potassium.
Yeah.
But potassium specifically, it's like a linebacker in your body. It lets enough sodium through, but it helps regulate your sodium. So it helps me purge extra sodium that I don't need. So when I keep that balance, but here's the thing, if I don't have a potassium load first thing in the morning, I won't reach the 35 to 4,000 milligrams that I need in a day in potassium. I just won't. And even still, if I have a banana in the morning, I need to have something with potassium at lunch, like tomatoes on a sandwich, and then, a potato or a squash or something at dinner, to be able, because like you said, you can eat and eat and eat real food all you want. It's when you eat something that's not an apple or an orange or a potato or a steak, that suddenly you have this load of sugar and load of saturated fat, because that's what tastes good.
Now,
Like
doing this, so just about 2 months in, I am
You
down,
lost a lot,
I am
right?
down 18 pounds.
Wow.
Right.
And that's so I'd like to say
You say that
that's
as if it doesn't show.
18 real pounds.
That's correct.
Because when you go on any kind of food or lifestyle or diet change, you have an immediate water loss.
Right.
And then because you've changed, your body starts consuming different fats and different things in your body differently. So then you have another weight drop, and then you plateau out for a while.
Then and that's where most people bounce out of changing their lifestyle, is they step on it and they're like, for this whole week, I haven't lost and then you retain a little water. You're like, I actually went up.
I gained 5 pounds, and it's done, and it's not working, and I give up.
And and there's lessons in Noom about that, about, hey, just to what you're saying, you're going to drop here, then you're going to plateau,
right?
Then you're going to drop again. You're probably going to plateau, and it may be for a month or two.
It takes a while,
because your body, it goes into survival mode. Like, wait, something's different.
Yep.
And it regulates itself. So, and I learned all this through that. And they say and that's why they have you step on the scale. It's normal. But there's also a group in there, right? Much like my LoSo group out on Facebook, is you can be like frustrated. Man, I've been walking, putting in my steps, lifting weights, and I haven't lost a pound for the last 3 weeks. And then people are like, hey, man, remember, go back to this, this lesson or whatever. And then you're like, okay, this is normal. Just, and keep it on.
And that's, so one of the other points I wanted to make is, everybody thinks, you always think that you're 22 forever. And I know I'm not old. I'm going to be 42 in a couple days.
Ooh-wee.
I know, I'm ancient.
My goodness.
But
I got ear hair older than you.
It's funny because my gray stripes,
Yeah.
I've had those for a long, long, long time. I started growing gray young. But as you get older, everybody knows your body changes. That's no secret.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing is when you eat the same way for so long, there's a lot of habits that are really hard to break. And the problem is, is something so simple as eating a donut. Literally in the matter of a 24-hour period, when the balance in your body changes.
Yep.
And shifts, and as you get older, you reduce the estrogen and the testosterone in your body. It just happens. It doesn't matter who you are, it's gonna happen, and it happens at different times in people's lives. So suddenly that donut, and all of a sudden you're like, what the hell, dude? I haven't changed anything about the way I do. I eat good, I do whatever, and now I'm gaining 5 pounds a week.
And here's the interesting thing to go with that is most of us are like, you know what? When I was 20, I wasn't allergic to bees.
Right.
But I am now.
Right.
And we accept that. We go, oh, your body changes.
Right.
However, when it comes to food, we're like, listen, I've been eating 2 Big Macs every sit down I go to McDonald's. I don't understand why I'm 480 pounds.
Eat a whole bag of Skittles. It shouldn't bother me.
It shouldn't bother me. Yeah. Right. But the other thing that through Noom and tracking, what it's allowed me to do as well is listen to my body to go, hey, bud, you've had enough now. But I've cut out the processed foods that have the chemicals in that hit that little piece of your brain that go,
the dopamine
you're still hungry.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and my family is known as Chiptopia.
I love chips.
We love chips.
Same.
Now, my habit was when I went home, if I was grilling or waiting for Alice to cook dinner, I would sit and eat a bag of Lay's potato chips, a family size bag.
Yeah.
But that's the serving size, right?
Right. And I would just sit there.
You're a man with a family.
Right.
So
the next thing you know, you're down to the crumbs and you're like, oh, is dinner almost ready?
Right.
You know, and then you sit down and you lump it all on your plate. But now I don't have a craving for chips. Not at all.
I still do.
Really?
Not at all. Donuts were my crack. It doesn't do anything for me now. I can literally crawl inside of a box of donuts, roll around, and walk out.
So now my because I don't eat salt, I have Lay's low sodium potato chips at home. Yeah. So most days when I get home from work, it's the first thing I do is crack open a bag of Lay's potato chips. And I eat about a handful of them. It's about a serving. Some days I do go overboard. But I crave salt. And I can tell when I need salt because you need sodium, potassium, and fat and proteins. You need all of those things, good, better, and you need sugar. Flat out, you need it. But you're better off getting it from a banana or an apple than you are from coffee creamer. Yeah. So that's one of those things where I when I find myself craving salt,
absolutely right, Ted. Yeah.
I go to something like that where I look at the ingredients and it's still a processed potato chip, but it's potatoes, oil, and salt. It's not another salty snack or anything like that is too heavily laden in crap.
Get the mandolin and just make your own. Put them in your air fryer. Bing, bang, bang.
I know. I haven't tried. I'm really excited to try my own potatoes in my air fryer. I haven't done that yet. Although Ben and I keep joking because you know how in California they say the carcinogens from your air fryer, if you use it too much, it's going to give you cancer and kill you.
Everything does.
I have made the potato wedges in our air fryer probably at least every other day.
Yeah.
One potato, some Dax Ranch seasoning on it.
Wedge
and
it
it's
up.
Just that's it.
I'm not allowed to use our air fryer.
Try burning the house down.
No, I started it once. And she's like, God, what are you doing? Why do you even have the rotisserie on? The thing's not in there. I'm like, I don't know. I put this in here. You're an idiot. Don't touch it again.
Read the manual. You'll be fine.
The what?
The manual.
Yeah. Right. Oh, my husband actually said something about how we must really love this appliance because we actually haven't the manual in the cookbook in the cooking times is still sitting on our counter because we bring it out every other day. Yeah. I really do like it. And it's funny because Ted had said that, he found the key to losing weight is a lot less processed foods, less sugar, and more cooked meals, which is true. And so many people shy away from cooking food or eating real food just because they think it's so complicated. Mm-hmm. The funny thing is once you get into you can get into any routine. If you like working out, you get into a workout routine. No. If you go to work, if you have kids and they have football, or if you can get into any routine you want and any change, if it's what you want, and if it's what you make a decision to do.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that because I've been talking about it for years, that if I had the time and the money, I would make an app that wasn't based on calories. Because that's the dumbest thing ever, to tell somebody to watch just your calories. There's so much more to it than that.
Noom kind of, you have it tracked, but it's so small that you're not paying attention to it. But then at the end of the day, I mean, there have literally been days where I've eaten well, I'm not hungry, 890 calories in the day.
Mm-hmm.
And people are like, "Oh, that's not healthy." Well, actually,
it is.
It is, right? They'll say, and there are programs out there. You need to fast for 24 hours.
You do it every night.
Right.
Every night when you sleep, it's a 10, 12 hour fast.
So and there's like a whole day's worth of intermediate fasting, and it's like, but you're sleeping for 6 to 8 hours. That's a fast,
right?
But the reason why that I started doing this is, number one, about 10 years ago, my mom and dad, right around the age 70, the doctors were like, you need to change your lifestyle or you won't have a life.
Right.
And I told my wife and my kids, I said, I don't want to be 70 and have to change my lifestyle. Right. And then my mom and dad did a great job with the doctor's help and portion control and all this. But guess what everybody said? Do you guys have cancer? What's going on?
Right.
Yeah, because they're older and they are finally lost all this weight. Right. And so
are you dying?
Yeah, they're like, oh my gosh, right?
No, just being healthy.
And still today, when I see my folks, I'm like, man, you guys look great, but that's the same little chubby people that I knew growing up, going,
right.
Are you guys healthy? Everything, everything okay. So now the idea for me is, I'm a nude house walker, so my big goal is to make sure that I don't embarrass my daughters with the way that I look.
Accidentally walks in your house.
No, I'm kidding. I'm not a nude house walker.
That's hilarious.
It's a great way though to keep people from coming over when you announce that.
Here, have a seat.
No, thank you.
Oh, that's
right. I know, I'm kidding. But one of the you go through and put your goals, and why.
Sure.
What you got to have goals when you're doing this. And, one of them is like, I don't have grandkids yet, but I will.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to be like,
huffing and puffing and wheezing and sitting in a chair and be like, I'll just take some pictures from here.
Right.
You're good. I'll watch the video.
Come over here, my grandpa.
Right.
I don't want to,
Mine was always, I never expected to have, it's funny because I got called a liar not too long ago about having liver disease, because they said there's no way in a cirrhosis group, there's no way that you have cirrhosis. You must have been misdiagnosed. Well, I like the, 60, 70, 80 million dollars that I spent in doctor visits.
Right.
And I'd like you to call my GI and tell him that.
Yeah, please.
Because of how I'm doing and how I'm not on medication. And it was purely a lifestyle change. But my goal wasn't to lose weight or not be on meds or not whatever. Right off the bat, I said, I don't want to be a burden.
Yeah.
I don't want to be in a bed somewhere that I can't move, that I can't do whatever, or that I'm 400 pounds because of water weight and I can't get it under control. And that still might happen.
Time to old grandpa over
there's certain
getting
things,
bed sores.
Right. You know what I mean? Like, and I get that. Sometimes things happen out of your control.
Yeah.
You have thyroid issues, liver issues, and you can't stop that. But what is in my control is what I consume and what I do and how I treat myself. So that was my goal, is I don't want to be a burden. I don't want to have someone waiting on me 24/7 or sending them to the pharmacy because I don't have the energy to go buy my 15 medications that I'm on. I don't have the chance of grandchildren, so I'll just come over and watch your grandchildren and videotape
someday.
you huffing and puffing, chasing
Yeah,
around.
someday. That's a big thing. And I love food.
Same.
I absolutely love food. And
hence the slut magic that brought you here today.
Right. But at the same time,
I
now
when you said that.
I now understand food.
Right.
I would just eat to eat, but now I can eat and truly enjoy it because I understand what's going into it. my wife's favorite restaurant is Chili's. I think
I was
they
talking about that last night.
I think that they take every piece of their food and
dip it in salt.
and throw it into a tub of salt
Yeah,
and let it and just shake it up and then go put it on your plate.
they
I
do.
mean, their soup, I mean, it almost makes you pucker, even just their soup. You're like,
Yeah.
wow. And my wife's like, I love it. But when you start educating yourself and you start watching what you eat and understanding what's in things, you're like, man, this is really, really
Right.
salty. Or this is, boy, what is, to your point, the sugar-free aspartame or whatever it is. I don't know. But
I loved, because I mean, it's no secret that I love potatoes. I loved the fact that I could taste the difference between a yellow potato and a russet potato and a fingering potato and a purple potato. I was like, who knew that?
They're
Like,
not
well,
just
holy
different
crap!
colors.
I just, what? Oh, this is on sale. All right, that's what's
Yeah.
making mashed potatoes tonight. And then after my palate changed, I was like, why? I'm like, what the hell did I do to my mashed potatoes? Like, why do these taste funky? Started doing some research, come to find out that those potatoes are better for baking potatoes because of the starch level or this, that, or they are waxy potatoes. I was like, holy shit, who knew that potatoes are so freaking complicated? And they are. Better ones make French fries, better ones make mashed potatoes.
Yeah.
And now I make killer mashed potatoes and everyone's like, how are these so good? It's the
Mhm.
kind of potato that you use. But when you're eating salt with a food backer, you can't taste that.
Can't.
So I do still like their queso, but who doesn't like beans and cheese?
That's it. It's good.
Yeah.
But I'm a big stay with me, a garlic guy. I love garlic.
I have Garlic Underground. You can go to Garlic Underground Chicago. They're local here. And if you have never had fresh garlic versus garlic from the grocery store, you're missing out. I'm sorry. And they spoil me. They're fantastic. They're always at the Palatine Farmers Market. They're at a few other farmers markets. And I think they still have some of their garlic at the Crystal Lake Food Store, or health food store. So real garlic, they're the same as potatoes. There's like 16 different bazillion varieties and types. Some are spicy, some are mild, some are sweet, and they're absolutely fantastic. Yeah. So that pork carnitas, I think, has at least 6 garlic cloves in it. It's so good.
It smells delicious.
It smells
delicious.
Fantastic.
And it's just a serving size.
You're gonna look out on that because I have to split right after the show today.
Yeah, it'll be all.
I could make you one right now.
Yeah. You should heat it up and have some.
That would be remarkably kind of you. I would. That would be incredible.
All right. Do you want it heated?
Sure.
A little microwave.
Yeah,
action.
you keep talking.
So
I'm just a guest.
Oh, and by the way, with regard to the whole potato thing, I got excited because my mom now is telling me almost every day, I had a baggie of potatoes.
It's like you and vegetables.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I just ate your apple cake.
That's funny.
I felt like telling everybody I am eating healthy right now. I'm eating apples.
Apples coated in about 6 cups of sugar.
Yeah, but
and pecans. There's pecans.
Yeah, and I freaking of the nuts, the pecan is my absolute favorite. Right.
I like cashews.
Yes.
I'm a cashew girl.
See, that's my number 2.
Yeah.
On cashews, and then right after that is pretty much any nut that's covered in chocolate. So.
I do actually have both almond and cashew dark chocolate covered almonds at home, and those are some of my go-to snacks. So as with tracking food and going through all of the things that I've gone through to try and stay balanced, and I found that when I do have a couple seconds to sit down and have a snack, and that's one thing that I've learned to actually really enjoy and appreciate, is when I start feeling like crap or down or slow in the day, which happens to everybody. You know, you have a bunch of coffee in the morning, or you have your breakfast or your whatever, especially if it's got any kind of sugar in it whatsoever, and you have this dip shortly afterwards. So I started finding snacks that made that better. And to know something so simple as having a banana or a handful of dark chocolate covered almonds, and within 10-15 minutes, I feel normal. I feel like I have energy. I feel like I get a second wind, a second boost. And it makes such a significant difference being able to do. And I get excited about the fact that I know how to manipulate my body through food. So if I need to feel better, if I need to, get rid of a headache or an upset stomach or anything, It really needs to. Oh, you got to put some of this stuff on it too.
He's got some of that scorpion urine or something.
Scorpion urine.
I do. For those of you who aren't aware, Mary brought me some scorpion urine
Tabasco
today.
scorpion sauce.
Yes, it's Tabasco scorpion sauce, and it is the frick awesome. So, yeah.
So it's funny. We were on a little side note
It is
about hot
wonderful.
sauce.
Oh, it's
So we've
wonderful.
talked about this. Is that people who like hot stuff, hot sauce, hot peppers, hot whatever. There's people who don't like it at all. There's people like me who like a little bit. We can tolerate a little bit. We're okay with a little bit. I told him about the avocados. They're big chunks. If he wants to pick them out.
No, it's fine.
If avoid as much avocado as possible, please. Thank you.
So
I'm just not a fan of the avocados.
if you're a hot
It's healthy.
person that likes hot food, if you come to me, like when my husband, he can eat habaneros like candy. Like I will literally slice them out of the garden and put them on his salad, and he eats them like you would eat tomatoes.
It's probably wonderful.
So, right. And he's like, this is really good. When somebody who likes spice to that level, when they say, oh, this is good, I can't get near it. It's already too hot for me,
Yeah,
and I'm
it was
aware of it.
Very hot.
So when it's always funny to me because that's exactly what you did. You're like, oh, this is good. Not this is warm or has some heat to it, which it does. And you know that. But to you, it's good, which means to me with a not spicy palate, if I get too close to that open bottle, I'm going to die. It will burn my nostrils. It's going to be
Kent
horrible.
did try it. I put a bit on Kent's
Right.
finger. I thought he would enjoy it. I actually did. I
Right.
didn't.
And then he's
realize-
going, oh, yeah, it's
and
a
I felt-
burn.
Eyes water.
That's
I-
woo,
I
instant.
felt kind of bad
Yeah.
after that.
No, I mean I like hot stuff, but that stuff made my eyes water.
Right.
It's like-
It's got a little kick. It's a step above normal Tabasco. So for hot sauce lovers, it's a nice, warm, mild heat.
wow,
Oh, see, those
look
are my
at that.
carnitas.
Look
Pork
at
carnitas. They were so good. They turned out fantastic.
Now, you know what? I'm going to actually try to
Yeah,
thank
give
you
it a
so
shot.
much. That was very kind of you. Thank you. And I'm going to try this actually without putting anything on it first
Well, yeah.
because I want.
I love the fact that my husband does that. And everybody always asks, does Ben eat your food? He hasn't. The other day I put,
And he's in good shape. I mean, he's good. I mean, he's a good looking cat.
he's 6'1",
Yeah.
200
Oh,
pounds.
He's a
190
good looking
pounds.
cat.
Isn't that good? So I made something because I was making it for someone else. I do have sea salt in my cupboard. So I put a little bit of sea salt in it because I'm making it for somebody that has a salted palate. And I want them to enjoy it. I don't want them to feel, not that they wouldn't enjoy my food. I don't ever want to make somebody feel like they have to be like, oh yeah, it's really good. And
Right.
they're not going to eat it because it's really hard to go from a salted palate to no salted palate in one meal.
Now, this has such a wonderful flavor. It needs nothing. It does not need salt. It's very light.
Mhm.
It's a subtle, very subtle spice. It's not hot in any
No.
way, shape, or form.
No.
It's very flavorful. So I am going to put some Tabasco stuff on it, not because it needs it at all, but because I want
Right.
it.
And that's the argument that with my husband and I, when people are like, oh, well, does he use ketchup? Does he use A1? Does he use Tabasco? And he does. Not because he needs to mask the food that I make, because he would literally put Tabasco sauce or Frank sauce or hot sauce or any kind of hot anything on a flip-flop. It doesn't matter what you give him. You can give him the most beautiful steak from a restaurant. He's going to take 2 bites and go, this is really good. Do you guys have any A1 sauce? Do you have any
Cholula.
Right. If you like sauces, you like sauces. It's not an insult to the chef. An insult to the chef is putting something on it before you've tried it.
Mm-hmm.
Now there
Try
is-
it. Say, okay, I like this.
Delicious.
And now I'm going to salt it. Now I'm going to do whatever. And now
And the
I'm going to add it to
avocado
my
is
plate.
fantastic.
There
Right?
is a hot sauce, and I can't remember what it's called. It's in our fridge right now. We've had it for a while, and several months. And my daughter left it because she was going to make something with it. She has a palate much like mine. Now that stuff and it tastes again. It tastes really good, and it hits you with a delayed reaction that did cause convulsions. I'm not kidding, but it's actually really good. So you have to be very careful. I can't remember what it's called.
Convulsions.
Yeah, my husband- there's a lady
I
behind
did
here.
convulse. I did convulse a bit when I ate it.
Yeah, my
Yeah,
husband, the Dave's Insanity sauce, he likes to keep on.
Mm.
That stuff is brutally hot, even for somebody like him who's got a hot palate. So he'll mention that every once in a while. But yeah, this, for anybody that wants to make this carnita, again, we talked about it in the beginning of the show. I had an 8-pound pork shoulder, but you can pretty much use any kind of pork that you want.
Thank you.
The shoulder or the butt or anything that shreds nicely is usually what works best.
Really good.
Chopped it up in little cubes so it cooked faster.
Might go good with some of that Johnny Walker.
Seasoned it with paprika, coriander, a ground coriander, and cumin, about a tablespoon and a half each, because I had 8 pounds. Mixed it all up. No oil, no nothing, because pork, especially that shoulder, has nice ribbons of fat throughout it. And carnitas is supposed to be like
It's good
a confit. It's supposed to be cooked in low and slow in a fat. When you have that fatty cut of meat, it essentially renders in its own fat and cooks that way. So no salt, no nothing. Literally
Delicious.
just those 3 spices, a shit ton of garlic,
Yep.
a layer of onions, and a layer of oranges. Covered it, roasted it for 3 hours, and that's it. And I was kind of dreading it because I'm like, oh, I don't want to. It's such a chore to cook an 8-pound, 10-pound cook anything.
Low and slow.
Until it's the same when I made the turkey a couple weeks ago. And everyone's like, how did you cook it in an hour? I spatchcocked it. You cut its spine out, lay it flat, and like, why does it have to be a whole bird?
Doesn't have to be.
I never understood. I mean, I get it. It's pretty. You put a bird on a counter, whether it's a chicken or a turkey or a duck or whatever. It doesn't cook evenly. It just doesn't. The breasts end up dry and horrible, and the thighs end up not cooked and gross, and it just is not right. You should just cook it the right way.
That's it. I mean, we got Thanksgiving coming up around the corner.
I can't wait for a holiday special.
And and I'm thinking, I'm looking at my, I'm out on my, the 3rd.
No, it's after December. We're doing it after Thanksgiving. So yeah, it'll be December 3rd that we're doing our holiday special.
So I was out last night doing chicken breasts on the grill. It was
I saw that.
Beautiful night for it. And then I'm sitting there going, well, we can't get together with her family because most of them live in the Wisconsin area because of the COVIDs, unless of course it's gone by then.
Right. Miraculously.
We'll
see.
But I'm sitting there going, maybe it was just our family. We don't need a big one. I just put that on the grill and just let her go.
Yeah. So turkeys are hard to spatchcock because they're big and their bones are thick. So you need to have some muscle behind it to cut that spine out. And even more muscle, if you actually do it properly, you're supposed to pull it out and then push down on the breastbone to actually snap it so it lays flat. But the chickens and the Cornish hens and all of the game hens I do all the time on the grill spatchcocked. You just cut spine out, lay them flat, and roast them on each side, and they cook super, super fast, and it's absolutely perfect. You should try it. It's absolutely so good.
It's because I do the old lump coal, right?
Yep.
So I don't do the charcoal briquettes. It's lump. I don't use any gas on it or anything like that, any fluid, because then it ruins the flavor of your food.
Do you use any wood at all?
Well, that's what it is, lump coal. So it's all pre-burnt.
Like actual wood, though.
Like smoke flavor.
Oh, it depends what I'm doing, but I mean, I like the smokiness of the lump coal, so it works really well.
We're lazy and we use propane.
Yeah,
just because
I'm old school.
I like to. If I'm going to grill, I'm going to grill quickly, and I haven't actually used my grill since I've gotten my nice what you call it,
air fryer.
Air fryer. Yeah.
Now the pork. I didn't heat mine up, but I heated
like
yours
cold
up.
stuff,
Yeah,
though.
I do. And even though it got a lot of fat in it, it didn't like clump together.
No.
I mean, this is really, really good. Usually when you've got that fatty coal that just like clunk.
Little solid rocks of
absolutely
rock
delicious. And the salsa verde or whatever you call that.
So I made it.
Is really, really good.
It's kind of like a pico because it's supposed to have onions. It's tomatoes, avocado. It's supposed to have onions, but because Derek from Gold Shield is going to try it, he doesn't like him and his wife don't like onions. So I'm like, I'm going to accommodate and not make a. What's wrong with it? Pete doesn't like avocado.
You could literally just spoon this in like a gazpacho.
Yeah.
You could eat this as a cold soup.
With
this
tortillas,
is
it's really
so
good.
delicious. Really good.
That is, and I'm not even a huge cilantro fan, but cilantro, when you're making any kind of these Mexican dishes like carnitas, to have it taste authentic, you need something fresh and bright like that, where it's tomato, cilantro, avocado, red wine vinegar, a little bit of olive oil. Like I put a little bit of spice in there for some heat. But that it needs that for that authenticity.
Yeah, you could just sit in front of the TV and just with a spoon, just eat it.
Yep. So
is that good? That good.
One of the things I was thinking about with
Pete, what does the producer give that? I mean,
the producer gives it 10s.
He's blinking 5s over there.
Blinking 5s. Put that on your sign.
That's an easy 30 out of 10.
That's funny.
It is. I mean, and you're right. It's there's some good texture and heat to it, but not overwhelming heat. It doesn't burn your tongue.
Should I start a GoFundMe so I can open?
No, it's a very pleasant flavor. It's a wonderful.
So nobody can sit in it.
Right. So nobody can come.
And again, I put the scorpion stuff you got me on there, just simply because I wanted it, and that, quite frank, for me,
it's perfect.
Oh,
that's my husband said the same thing last night.
Yeah,
it woke it up.
The best way I can describe it is the.
My husband asked if you were going to have an orgasm on the radio today.
He might have there, but yeah, I mean the salsa stuff that you got there adds that saltiness to it.
Yeah, and it doesn't have any salt in it.
Mm-hmm.
That's really, I could eat that by the bucket. I try not to make too much of it because I literally will. That's when I eat too many potato chips. I can curb myself when I come home because I want a salty snack and have a few potato chips. I can do that. But if I have a dip, then the bag's gone.
My favorite chip was the sea salt and vinegar.
Yep.
And now that I don't eat them anymore,
it hits you right here.
You realize my mouth should not burn.
Right.
Sea salt and vinegar, always your tongue and the roof of your mouth are like, but I can't stop eating them.
Yeah. The other one I like is the dill pickle chip.
Yeah, but I
not
could
the
never
pickle, like the dill potato chips.
Yeah, I could never eat too many of those.
See, I like anything with cheese on it, but my favorite chips are either the mesquite barbecue or the just plain old Pringles. And I do love dip. Oh, well, let me back that up. My absolute favorite chip is, of course, just the Doritos with the extra.
Yeah.
I'm
still a fan of Doritos.
Yeah.
I still like the old school.
And Doritos. I love those in dip as well.
Yeah, thanks.
But
Tim, appreciate it. Happy election day again.
Yeah, it's Groundhog Day.
That's right.
Till then, it's Groundhog Day. Didn't we do this yesterday? The day before? We're gonna do it again tomorrow.
It's the old man popularity contest.
Right.
One of those old men are gonna win.
So, I was thinking about your Noom app.
Yeah.
And how it does focus more on the lifestyle and the what you're eating and the mentality behind food and the relationship with food more than it is the actual caloric intake or something, which is a healthier way to approach food, especially if you need to change your diet. Because I hate diets. I hate everything about it. It needs to be the relationship that you have with food. And that's a hard thing to change past, puberty. Pretty much who you are by the time you go through puberty is who you're going to be for the rest of life.
Yeah.
Unless you have some kind of life altering, like me with my liver disease or my spinal issues or marriage or car accidents, unless you have something that changes your perspective, you're usually that person for quite some time. And it made me think about the fact that when you are someone like me who has to watch, specific things, I found very early on the easiest way to explain to people when they'd say, oh, I didn't add any salt, and they're trying to be nice. And I get that. But they never realize how much or what it is. So when I equated it to money, it made it so much easier. So when you know that you need, like I need 1,500 milligrams or less of sodium to feel good every day, and 69 grams of sugar or less to feel good every day. So if I equate that to money and say I can have $1,500 or $69, when you commit that to memory and you look at something and you're like, oh, all right, so that's $60 out of my $69 today. I'm going to skip that and opt for the ice cream or the coffee cake or whatever that I made and hold it off until later in the afternoon. even though you're not necessarily good to carb load or sugar load at the end of a day, if it's what helps you keep that balance, your body will shift on its own.
Yep.
So if you know that's what you need to succeed and to keep my sugar in check, I'm better off if I allow myself my coffee or my sugary snack at night. I don't miss it at all throughout the rest of the day. I'm good.
Yeah. And you learn that. That's
Right.
what Noom helps you learn. And there have been many times where I'm sitting, watching Shameless power watching Shameless and
Binge watching.
And you're just like, well, right about now I would be eating
Sure.
microwave popcorn, or I'd be having something. And your habit goes, hey, it's been a while. So then I look at my Noom app and go, well, why not eat some grapes? Grapes are fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
You don't eat many; they fill you up quick, and the caloric intake is
negligible at best.
Right?
Yeah.
And then so now, like, my favorite treat are grapes. It's just nuts.
And that's what's funny about how I was talking earlier, that I enjoy the fact that I can now manipulate how I feel with food.
Yep.
So if I want a snack or I want something, and I have a cabinet full of stuff, but that's the key, is making sure that what you have accessible to you is stuff like, dark chocolate covered almonds or cashews or grapes or oranges or fruit, because you'd be surprised at when you have an option of all of those different things, that even something as simple as grapes can be exciting.
And no more acid reflux.
Right.
No, it's amazing.
I sleep better.
Yes. I mean, I used to every night take 2 acid reflux pills. I probably have some sort of cancer now because they've all been pulled off the shelf. But
right.
But the interesting thing is I don't anymore. I do not have acid reflux at all.
Yep.
Now I know that if I have a piece of chocolate somewhere in the day or a chocolate chip cookie, that I will have acid reflux, and then you have to decide, is it worth it?
Right.
Is it going to be worth it? And you go yes or no, and then you know that you're going to live with some acid reflux later in the day. Or because I knew I had that, now I know to eat differently.
Sure.
Mounting up to try to prevent. Right.
And that's where something, at the end of the day, if I have the same kind of craving, if I want to eat something and I think about that, it's the same kind of thought process where I will gladly have like a pork carnitas and actually have some sort of actual meal versus a snack, simply because it's still real foods.
Yeah.
I made it. I know what's in it, versus going for cookies or snacks or crumbles or, whatever. It makes a huge difference. And that's why I say, if you're going to cheat with real food.
And if you have acid reflux at night, it was something you ate in the morning.
Right.
It's not. I always thought it was something I had for dinner.
It's 6 to 10 hours before is usually what causes you a problem.
Isn't that interesting? Yeah.
Unless you have an actual reaction to something like dairy, those kinds of things can hit you quickly. But 99% of the time, it's what you ate the night before, or for breakfast, or for lunch, that you're going at 10 o'clock at night. And part of that problem is because it's been digesting, and now you lay down. If you actually lay on your left side, it will reduce acid reflux if you have it, just because of the way your esophagus and everything sits in your body. Yeah. At least for most people who have normal anatomy.
But
anyway.
at the same time, sometimes it's bad because all your other organs are lushing down on everything.
Right.
So,
all right. Great. We got about 1 minute left. Mary, how does everybody get a hold of you if they want to learn more about living low sodium?
My website, My LoSo Lifestyle. It actually shows this lovely coffee cake. I'll let Kent look it up later.
It is delicious.
The YouTube page. Subscribe to my YouTube page. Support me. Support my station. We both have them, 216 The Net and My LoSo Lifestyle. And also pay attention, because I'll probably be publishing it later. December 3rd, I think we decided, is our holiday special. So it'll be fun. We have some giveaways and a lot of food on the show. So it'll be exciting.
A lot of food.
I'm really excited. No TV dinners.
No.
I put it out there in the world.
Know. Pete and I were thinking the same thing, and you jumped on that quick. I was like, dang it.
I know you guys. So yes,
Yeah. Yeah, we were. All right. We'll be back next week, Thursday at 11 a.m. for more My LoSo Lifestyle with Mary Schepp. Thank you so much for hanging out with us today.
I will do mashed taters.
Oh, nice.
I make a mean